The fluorescent lights of Apex Tower hummed like a swarm of angry bees at 2:17 a.m. when Marcus Hale, CEO of Hale Dynamics, stepped off the private elevator onto the 47th floor. His Italian loafers clicked against the marble until they stopped in front of a man on his knees, elbow deep in a bucket of grey water. 7 minutes, Marcus said, voice sharp enough to slice the silence. Pretend you love me for 7 minutes, and I'll give you $50,000. The janitor, Tom Rivera, didn't look up right away. His broad shoulders, wrapped in a faded navy uniform, rose and fell with the slow rhythm of someone who had long ago stopped expecting miracles. When he finally lifted his head, the overhead light caught the silver threading through his dark hair and the exhaustion etched into the lines around his eyes. Mr. Hale, Tom said, voice low, steady. I've got a daughter in the ICU at St. Mary's. Machines breathing for her. I clean your floors because the night shift pays time and a half, and even that isn't enough. But I'm not for sale. Not like that. Marcus's laugh cracked like ice. Everyone's for sale, Rivera. Name your price. Tom wrung the mop, water sluicing pink. Someone had spilled Merlot in the boardroom again. I'm not pretending anything for you. But if you want 7 minutes of my time, sit. He nodded toward the leather sofa that cost more than Tom's annual salary. Sit, and I'll tell you why 50 grand won't fix what's broken. Marcus hesitated. In the glass reflection of the window, Manhattan glittered like a circuit board, and for a moment the CEO looked small against it. Then he Saturday. The timer on Marcus's Rolex began its merciless tick. Minute 1. Tom leaned the mop against the wall and wiped his hands on a rag that had once been white. 3 years ago my wife, Elena, died in the crosswalk outside this building. Delivery truck ran the light. I was supposed to pick her up after her shift in the cafe downstairs, but Mia, our daughter, had a fever. I stayed home. Elena walked. His voice didn't waver, but something in the air thickened. The settlement paid for the funeral. Medical bills for MIA's cystic fibrosis ate the rest. Every night I push this cart so she can have another treatment, another tomorrow. Marcus shifted, the leather creaking. He had approved the truck fleet's cost-cutting measures himself. Minute 2. I know who you are, Tom continued. The papers call you the Ice King. 30 under 30. Divorced twice. You host galas where champagne flows like tap water, but you eat alone in that penthouse overlooking the park. You want 7 minutes of pretend love. Tom's eyes, the color of river stone, met Marcus's. Love isn't a transaction. It's the 3 a.m. breathing treatment when MIA's lungs sound like paper bags crumpling. It's holding her hand through a nosebleed that won't stop. It's choosing to believe tomorrow might be kinder even when every bill says otherwise. Marcus opened his mouth, some reflex defense, but nothing came. Minute 3. Tom reached into his pocket and pulled out a child's drawing, a stick figure family under a yellow sun. The little girl in the middle had oxygen tubes rendered in careful blue crayon. Mia drew this last week. Said the sun was you, Mr. Hale. Because you're at the top of the sky, and maybe if she could reach you, you'd see her. Marcus stared at the paper. His hand twitched, wanting to crumple it, wanting to frame it. He wasn't sure which. Minute 4. Sirens wailed far below, red lights strobing across the glass. Tom's radio crackled. Another janitor asking if the executive gym needed restocking. Tom ignored it. You ever lose someone you were too busy to love? He asked. Marcus's jaw flexed. My father. Heart attack in the boardroom. I was in Tokyo closing a deal. Flew back for the funeral, stayed for the reading of the will. That was it. Tom nodded like he'd known. Regret's a heavier load than any cart I push. Minute 5. Marcus stood abruptly, pacing to the window. This is ridiculous. I came here because... He stopped. Because his date had laughed when he admitted he'd never told anyone happy birthday and meant it. Because his therapist charged $600 an hour to say he was relationally avoidant. Because at 42 he owned everything except the ability to look in the mirror without flinching. He turned. Because I don't know how to be loved. And I thought, maybe if someone pretended, I could study it. Like a language. Tom's expression softened, not pity, but recognition. You can't study love. You survive it. You choose it when it hurts. Minute 6. Marcus's phone buzzed, his driver, waiting. He silenced it. What would you do with 50 grand? I'd pay for the enzyme therapy insurance denied. I'd buy Mia a real bed instead of the pull-out in my sister's living room. I'd sleep one full night without dreaming of ventilators. Tom's voice cracked on the last word, the first fracture in his calm. Marcus looked at the mop bucket, the worn knees of Tom's uniform, the drawing trembling slightly in the janitor's calloused hand. Something shifted behind the CEO's eyes, a tectonic plate long frozen. Minute 7. The Rolex beeped. Time. Marcus exhaled. Keep your 7 minutes, Rivera. I don't want pretend. He reached into his suit jacket, pulled out a platinum card, and set it on the coffee table. This has no limit. Take whatever Mia needs. All of it. Tom stared at the card like it might bite. And what do you want in return? Nothing. Marcus's voice was raw. Consider it. Tuition. For the lesson you just taught me. Tom didn't touch the card. Come with me. What? To the hospital. Now. Meet Mia. If you still want to help after that, we'll talk. Marcus glanced at the city lights, then at the man who had just refused $50,000 on principle. For the first time in years, he followed someone else's lead. They took the service elevator down to the garage. Marcus's driver, used to 3 a.m. club runs, raised an eyebrow at the janitor sliding into the Maybach, but said nothing. St. Mary's smelled of antiseptic and cafeteria tater tots. Tom led Marcus past beeping monitors to room 412. Mia lay dwarfed by white sheets, an oxygen mask fogging with each shallow breath. Her hair, dark like her father's, fanned across the pillow. A stuffed giraffe clutched in one arm had one eye missing. Tom knelt, brushing a curl from her forehead. Hey, Mija. Someone wants to meet you. MIA's eyes fluttered open, hazel, luminous despite the bruising beneath them. She looked at Marcus, then at the drawing Tom still carried. You're the sun man, she whispered, voice raspy through the mask. Marcus's throat closed. He managed a nod. Mia beckoned him closer with a tiny finger. When he leaned in, she pressed the drawing into his hand. Daddy says you're lonely at the top. But the sun's never lonely. It just shines. Marcus Hale, who had negotiated billion-dollar mergers without blinking, felt his eyes burn. The next morning, the executive floor buzzed. Marcus had cancelled the Tokyo trip, the Hamptons gala, everything. By noon, Hale Dynamics' legal team was drafting paperwork to cover MIA's treatment in perpetuity, experimental trials, home nurses, a trust fund. But Marcus didn't stop there. He created the Elena Rivera Foundation, named for the wife Tom had lost outside these very towers. Its mission, healthcare access for children of low-wage employees, janitors, baristas, security guards. The board balked at the cost. Marcus fired 2 VPs on the spot and replaced them with Tom, who accepted only on the condition that his janitor badge stayed clipped to his belt. So I never forget where I came from, he said. MIA's first treatment without insurance denials happened 3 days later. Marcus sat in the corner of the room, still in the same suit, learning how to hold a nebulizer. When Mia fell asleep smiling, Tom looked at the CEO and said, You didn't pretend for 7 minutes. You showed up for a lifetime. Marcus swallowed hard. I'm still learning the language. 6 months later, Apex Tower's lobby featured a new mural, a blazing sun over a city skyline, painted by Mia from her hospital bed. Beneath it, a plaque read, Love isn't pretend. It's choosing to shine even when the night feels endless. Mia Rivera, age 7. Every evening at 6 p.m., the cleaning carts rolled out as usual. But now, the CEO often pushed one alongside Tom, sleeves rolled high, learning the weight of a mop and the heavier weight of grace. And in the quiet hum of fluorescent lights, 2 men who had once been strangers discovered that the distance between the penthouse and the basement was only 7 minutes wide, if you were brave enough to cross it.